Hey guys, Raul here with Cold Emails Hot Takes. I'm here with Brandon. He's been sharing on Twitter every week almost like good results that are getting from cold email. We met like a year ago. We had like consulting call when we still had our agency. Super pumped to have you on, man. And are you ready to get started?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Perfect. So first question, do you remember when was the first time you sent your first cold email and what was it about?
Yes, I know exactly what the cold email was. And by the way, thank you so much for having me on, bro. Like this is fucking fantastic. Cold email is growing a ton, it seems like. So being at the forefront of it is probably only going to be beneficial for us in the future. I'm super excited for the space. But yeah, man, to answer your question, funny enough, I was actually pitching somebody email copywriting services, right? And I went to this I went to this website called Greg's List. So
Mhm.
not Craigslist, it's Greg's List. And you can go there right now. It's this directory of SaaS companies that I'm pretty sure I think they're like funded or recently funded. I don't know what the data is on them, but I know it's software companies, right? And so I just picked like five random ones and reached out to do copywriting for them. But obviously, like I just cold emailed them and I got a response on one of those five. And I was like, wait, I can just do this? Like I can just email people and that's it. Like I don't actually have to go and do copywriting, you know? And so I got pretty hooked after that. I just couldn't get over the idea that like my job was already done. Because what I was going to be doing would be writing emails like essentially like Klaviyo, right? You know how
Mhm.
there's a bunch of Klaviyo email marketers out there? That would have been me. And so I was pitching that over cold email. And I sent five emails and got a response. And I was like, let's go, dude.
And when was this?
Man, it had to have been like 14 months ago,
Oh,
I
it's
would say.
yeah, pretty recent. And after that, you started your agency?
Yeah. So after that, I kind of just, I don't really remember exactly what I did the next like 2 or 3 weeks, but I was just kind of experimenting with cold email. I think I was just like, I really wasn't doing anything crazy, like at all. And then I met Nick, luckily, which is like the co-owner of our agency, Nick Larez.
Mhm.
And he was a little bit further in it than I was. So I just got super lucky. I was going to partner with this other kid who then introduced me to Nick.
Mhm.
And, and now that dude, unfortunately, and if he watches this, like, I'm sorry, buddy, but we kind of make fun of him because we just feel bad. Like he's seen us just go, and he had the opportunity to work with both of us separately, and just wasn't really a good option. And
Mhm.
so Nick kind of took me under his wing. Like after I started realizing what cold email was, fortunately, he wasn't really very good at writing
Mhm.
because he's from Mexico. Like he's Spanish speaking is his first language. So that's where I came in and started just doing a lot of that stuff. And that's where we really made like a sick bond.
Nice. Yeah, I was just like laughing, thinking about like this dude like fumbled the bag. We had the same, like similar person when we started instantly and just like didn't cut out. Like just imagine like if it would be like part now like of the core team. It's like maybe like a good like learning experience for people to like even like with agencies, anything you're working with, like if you see big potential, like man, like it's like don't waste it. But it's like fun to hear you had like pretty much the same roads that we took like for agency. And did you guys start straight off with lead generation? You just start doing cold emailing to other like clients?
Yeah. So I think the first client we signed, we still have. Um, and they are the ones that's been getting a lot of the crazy meetings. Like today, they got Home Chef for the second time. Like they've gotten them twice. And yeah, Nick signed them, I think, on a $1,500 setup, and we had no case studies, we had nothing, and they're in the Inc. 5K.
Mhm.
And so Nick just randomly signed these guys. Like the president is the one that we work with really close. We work with the president and then the director of Amazon because we pitch Amazon quite a bit.
Mhm.
Um, and so yeah, I mean, we signed them, and then we signed an influencer marketing agency who unfortunately we don't work with anymore because they just went under. They were kind of like a startup, you know, didn't have a lot of funding. But we got them a lot of meetings. They're the ones who got Amazon. Literally, like the first meeting that we booked, like big time, like the first like real meeting that I booked in cold email for a client was Fidelity.
Damn.
They only wanted us to target Fortune 1000.
Mhm.
And we were targeting them for like 60 days with nothing, like no results, no bookings, not even responses. Who we actually got. This one's so funny because we ended up lying about it because we were just pieces of shit, right? We were just like so desperate. Um, Chipotle responded and was
Mhm.
like, yeah, I'm interested. And then we obviously responded to them, try to get them on the call, but they thought that we were trying to be their influencer,
Mm,
not pitching them influencer marketing, right?
yeah.
And so he was just interested in us doing content or whatever for him. And so I was like, we told people in outreach, we're like, yeah, we got an op with Chipotle. You know, it's no big deal. And then Fidelity did eventually come through, like, I think maybe like 2 weeks later.
Mhm.
But we did so much bullshit to try to get Chipotle to actually come through. Like, we sent him like a handwritten note, called them. Like, we're just doing everything we could to try to get somebody. But yeah, the beginning of cold email is so funny. You think back at some of the mistakes that you've made, dude. Actually, I think I knew about you, and this might like ring a bell. I don't know. I found a document on Google. It had to have been a year ago that you wrote, and I don't think I have it. I doubt I have it, but you wrote it, and at the bottom, like it was like a white paper about instantly, I think,
Yeah.
and it was super brand new. And I was on Mailshake. We were using like Mailshake and Lemlist at the time. Those were like the most popular ones, right? And I was looking for something that we could add more accounts to. And I
Mhm.
found this white paper randomly that you wrote. And then eventually you got on Twitter and blew up so fucking fast. It was crazy. But I remember before the whole thing even started, like when you guys were just barely starting, I found it and I was like, okay, let's see what this does, dude. Like, let's see what happens. And holy shit, like it it's a fucking super helpful tool. Like I haven't even thought about actually Mailshake, bro. I haven't thought about Mailshake in months. Like that shit is so old. That shit's dead.
Yeah, that's good to hear, man. And yeah, it's like you guys went the extra effort to like handwritten note to Chipotle. Like we did the same like with the white papers. We just like went a little bit extra mile. So I think it's like good learning point and like good this like scrappy mentality in the beginning, like when you don't have any case studies, you're like learning. But this is like what you got to do. It's like whatever works. Just like keep on trying. And I feel we have like a bunch of lead generation agencies listening in, and you having experience with like working there. So what do you say would be like some of the easiest clients? What kind of niches and what are the like hardest clients that you would recommend avoid?
Great question. Well, as far as I know, right, I think I probably took a pretty shitty approach at the beginning. So maybe you can learn from me. Um, I only target ecom brands, and everyone says that ecom is one of the hardest things to get. So if you are going to start targeting ecom, like here's the catch, I guess, actually, besides it being hard to target, is it's the biggest target market
Mhm.
as far as I've seen, right? There are so many agencies that work with ecom brands. I mean, it's just the biggest market probably in the world if you combine all the Amazon, Nike, Walmart, all of these things. So what I would recommend is if you're going to be targeting ecom, work with a service that's easier to sell than something like website design, which isn't necessary, right? Like
Yeah.
website design, not great to sell. SEO, not great to sell. Things that I do think are good to sell would be like influencer marketing, affiliate marketing, creative marketing. UGC is interesting. Google ads, Instagram ads, TikTok ads, um, pretty much any advertising. I'm trying to think of like what else I would stay away from as far as like app development. I feel like it's not a great one. Mobile development, not a great one. Um, Anything like UX or UI is not really that easy to pitch. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like you want something that just makes sense within like 4 sentences, right? If you're gonna pitch SEO, like I would recommend getting super granular with it and pitching like And I'm kind of getting off the rails with the
It's okay.
targeting here, but with SEO, you got to be pitching it as clear as possible, like beating their competitors, getting to number one in this type of a keyword, and then personalize it based on who you're reaching out to, and actually like try to pitch them something that's just so granular to them that they really are like, I'm interested. Um, but if you're targeting outside of ecom, I'm not really the best person to answer that, unfortunately. It's something we've considered getting into lately just because we do so well in apparently the toughest market. I feel like if we got into something like maybe more B2B, maybe like pitching software services or pitching even warehouse services would be interesting. There's a lot of different stuff out there. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, man, that's perfect. And I think it applies to like outside e-commerce, like we saw the same, like stuff that isn't necessary or isn't directly correlated to your business's revenue, like web design. You don't need it before you need it. App development, same, you don't need it before you need it. It's like insurance. It's like very hard to sell via cold email. There are different channels for that. Cold email is like, you don't know this person, you're reaching out of the blue, they don't know anything about you. It has to hit nerve, it has to resonate, it has to be something like straight up, like you said, TikTok ads, something advertising, something that helps to make more money. So it makes total sense. And you mentioned that your partner, like Nick, was like more of the, like a little bit like ahead, and then you came in, like he doesn't know how to do the writing. So I can imagine you're doing like most of the copywriting. And a lot of questions we get like in our group on Twitter is about like, oh, like how should I write the email? How long should it be? So do you have some kind of formula, some structure? How do you go about like writing the emails?
Yeah. So, and I guess if like one thing that I guess I would like to make a point of is, guys, I think, and I'm curious to see what you think about this. I think being different in cold email is incredibly important, right? So if everyone else is sending one thing, I am trying to send something different, just personally for me. And that's what I've seen work for me. Um, pretty much all of the script work structures that I use, I either developed on my own or just took like small little pieces from even you or Berman or Email Wizard. There's only really a couple guys that I learned from about a year ago, where I was just really like in the trenches learning every day, trying to figure out like exactly what the best structures are, what the best databases are. I was just learning. I was balls deep in cold email, just trying to figure it out. Right. And so the best, like, you want to be as clear as possible for one. I guess like my checklist for writing a sequence is always going to be like, make sure that they at least like understand like what I'm offering. So if I'm offering like Google, I'm going to have it in the subject line. I'll be like Google sales or whatever it may be, or Google ads or whatever it may be. And then usually I'll just come at them with like a compliment, some sort of an offer, case study, and then call to action. Like that would probably be like the most typical one. I used to send a lot of quick questions. And at this point, I'm seeing that quick question is just dead in the mud. And I haven't used it as a subject line in probably a year. Like I haven't, all of the meetings I book don't use quick question as a subject line. I don't really think the subject line is all that important. But to my point just a minute ago, if you're trying to be different, right? Just being different is going to get you a little bit further or a little bit closer towards getting that meeting than just being the same as everyone else in the inbox. So if they get 10 emails today and 8 of them are quick question subject line, I'm inherently different just by being one of the other 2. And that to me is like, that's my end. Right. And so at this point, I'm not trying to send as many quick questions like at all. Like I don't even use the word quick question at all in my email ever anymore, just because I've seen so many people respond and be like, dude, people are sending this exact same email that you are right now. And they just call you retarded. You know, they're like, what are you doing? Why are you sending? Everyone has the same template. I got an email the other day that was like, people are sending the exact same email that you just sent me right now, almost verbatim. It's like you have the same template. Like that's literally what they told me. And I was like, fuck, like that's just not a good sign. So I think one of the best things you guys can do would be to start testing stuff on your own, right? Like I have scripts that nobody else would have ever thought of or have ever, showed me how to write at all, right? I just came up with them on my own because I understand what works, but I kind of stay in the framework of like under 50 to 75 words. I'll usually have a compliment in there. I'll usually have a case study in there. I'll have the offer in there. Obviously, there will be a call to action in there. But I like to take the time to go and figure out what can work that's different than everyone else, right? So if I'm not sending quick questions, maybe I'll send like a pain point script, right? So I'll reach out to people and be like, I noticed your competitor is doing this, right? And there's no reason you guys can't do the same. And then I'll, kind of pitch them like that. That was a fucking ramble of an answer. I was kind of lost at the beginning there, but
No, bro. Like,
I'll let you
it's
ask your next question. But I just wanted to say really quick, bro, I do think that quick question is completely fucking dead right now. I think it's completely overused, like whether you're sending it in the subject or in the email. Just personally, I'm seeing way less results from it. And so I'm pivoting away from it because everyone else apparently is sending in. Fuck that.
yeah, man, love that. And I feel again, like now doing these like podcasts, talking with successful like agent owners like yourself, it really comes down to understanding that like it's a process. You just need to test new stuff all the time. It's not like you have a formula and you just like use it and it always gonna work. Sometimes like it's like the structure might be the same, but it's still like trying new things, new angles, maybe even like videos, audio messages, links, not links, images, whatever. But the goal is not to get tied on like one specific thing. Just keep on testing, man. And this is like what you see with like all these people. Like you said, you have some scripts that nobody else has come up with because like you did them like yourself. You can take bits and pieces, puzzle together like the big like something that you like. But yeah, just everybody listening, like take the templates, take everything, but make your own stuff and consistent like daily. There's like no other way. Like it's work, man. Yeah, but yeah, like, and I agree with the good question. We've been pivoting away from it as well. That might be a good like clickbait title for this video. Quick email dead. Let's see. And how many follow-ups do you add to your cold email sequences?
Good question. Right now, all of my sequences have 4. However, I have seen success with pretty much anywhere between 4 to 7 emails. I don't see why you can't go over that. My issue is you're gonna fill up instantly for one, and if you're just pushing all of these things back, then there's just gonna be your bandwidth might get smaller and smaller and smaller. And if they don't respond by like the 5th email, they're probably not interested.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And we analyzed 32 million emails and we're like slowly sending out like all the insights we found, and same with the follow-ups. I think it was after fifth or 6th where it just like drops like dramatically. Like yeah, the first one is the biggest, second one is second biggest, and then already like after the second one it drops a lot, but yeah, after the 5th one it's like yeah, very minuscule. Like what you should do maybe is reach out to them after 2 months, 3 months, like a longer period. That might work if it's like a timing question. But I agree,
Right.
like 4 is the like perfect number. And right now, if you don't mind telling people like your main lead sources, how are you guys like finding leads?
Right. So we have a lot of databases. We have Find Mass leads, we have store leads, brand nav, sales nav, obviously Apollo. And we're always looking for stuff too. I mean, I'll even use Google with the instant data scraper. We'll hire VAs to try to get us more granular stuff. There's different databases that you can get stuff from, like the Natural Products Expo. Pretty much the stuff like that. A lot of our latest leads did come from Brand Nav. And Apollo is basically like the 2 main sources. But I'm always looking for new databases, to be honest, because I think that's one of the easiest ways to get meetings, regardless of what your script is if you can just go find leads that people don't have.
100% agree. And in my like before my lead generation agency, I worked at a like sales company, and there again, like I came in and everybody was using like the same stuff, and I found Crunchbase and just like reaching out. And in the first month, I booked 32 meetings, like just with like a new lead source. So again, it again comes down to the same stuff, like just not getting stuck on Apollo, whatever everybody's using. Like you should constantly be searching out for new ones, and like always pretty much like going to Upwork, creating the job post, like I need a scraper for this like page. It's actually super cheap. Like having somebody scrape a page or like find us leads. So just again, everybody listening, go out there, find new places. It's much easier than like coming up with new copy, new targeting. And
for sure, Crunchbase is actually good too, for sure. You can get a lot of stuff on there, like funding rounds. Yeah. They have a lot of lists that the public makes, where they'll essentially someone will build a list of like 9,000 brands that'll be like sports companies in the US above 1 million, right? And then there'll be a 10 million one, and then there'll be a 100 million one. And so people make these for all different niches. So yeah, literally guys, I mean, any database you can get your hands on, I highly recommend you buy it. It's one of the best ways to get your money back with an agency.
Yeah, and that might be like an underrated skill. It's just like Googling. Like just Google it, man. Like just go out there, type in like your niche, lead database, B2B data, whatever, and just like see what's there. Go through every page on Google, and you're already gonna have a competitive advantage. It's a no-brainer, man. And then we talked about leads, we talked about the niche, we talked about the copy a bit. So now you have your campaigns running. Once you get leads in, you get like interested response. How do you guys, what's your process on turning a positive lead into a meeting?
Good question. So we have a Unibox. So I'm not actually the one that sets that up. I don't know how to do that. But essentially, like today, Home Chef, right? So they actually replied a couple weeks ago, but let's say that they replied for the first time today. Hey, I'm interested in learning more. Generally speaking, I'm trying to obviously respond within like the first 15 minutes or just as quick as possible, right? If you can get back to them as quick as possible, it's going to improve your meeting rate. Obviously, I mean, if you respond when they're at the computer compared to 2 hours later, just going to get a better chance at booking it. But realistically, I'm always trying to get the meeting on the first email. So like when I'm responding to them, I'm saying, so if they're saying I'm interested in learning more, I'm trying to get them on the call when I'm responding to them right then. I'm not trying to just like answer their question, like, oh, here's a bunch more info and send PDFs and videos and answer all their questions. Generally, I'll be like, happy to show you more. How does Tuesday at 2 p.m. PST look for you? Because whether or not they're in their head thinking, I'm interested in learning more, send me over PDFs, or I'm interested in learning more, I'll jump on a call. They didn't specify it, so it doesn't really matter. And if you just pitch them a specific time, they might just be like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. Do you have 15 minutes at 2 p.m. PST on Thursday? Or if not, you can jump on this booking link here and find a good time that works for you. And then you can link your stuff, right? And if they don't obviously, book, then I would follow up with them 2 days later, and then probably like 4 days later. And then I would kick them into a new follow-up sequence from a different person. But whenever I get a positive response, I mean, I'm trying to respond as quick as possible and trying to get them on a call like as easily as possible. So I'll give them just a little bit of info, enough to like intrigue their interest, and then give them a specific time that I would like to meet, and be like, if that doesn't work, let me know a better time. But if it does, I'll just shoot over an invite essentially.
Nice, man. Yeah, it's pretty much like our own process as well. And like a good thing I found, I think yesterday, we want to get the new video for Instantly website. So I reached out to a company that does videos, and I filled in the form, and I got a response about like, yeah, let's do a call. I already booked you in, like whatever the word is, just like preliminarily for tomorrow. if that doesn't work, just like move around we can change the time, right? And actually, like for me, it was like super simple. Like the time worked. I was like, yeah, fuck it, like let's do it. I don't recommend this to everybody. If you're in like some tough niches, might not be the best thing. But if you have like the dude is like clearly interested, he's like down for a meeting, you can already like book them in for like even next week, tomorrow at like a reasonable time in their time zone, and tell them like, yeah, I booked you in. And in the title of the meeting as well, they had like hold, or just like
Oh, I
something.
like that.
Yeah, like hold, and then you can like switch it around. If you don't like this time, we can move it, whatever works for you. It's like, yeah, you're doing their job. You're actually saving them time. They don't have to like book a meeting, they have to respond. Yeah, this works. So might be worth a test. And then a couple of final questions. I think again, like we get this over and over again. What type of emails are you guys using? Are you using Workspace, Soho?
Yeah, we use Google Workspace.
Workspace.
Yeah,
And
Nick is definitely more on the technical side than I am. Like I'm more on the creative side. I'm more training the VA, scraping the leads, setting them up properly, database copy. He's all technical, sales calls, setup, all that shit.
yes, that's the perfect combo. But do you know like how many what's your like sending limits at the moment, approximately?
Yeah, so we buy about 15 domains for each client. So I think we try to get that up to about 450 per day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Our client with the most domains has 30, and I think he can send about 900 emails a day.
Nice. And what has been your best month, either like leads wise or like revenue wise?
Um, Depends because obviously setup fees. I'll be honest though, I mean, we're looking at a really good month right now. We're already at like 20,000, and this hasn't been like we haven't gotten any of our end of the month payments for our calls booked.
Mhm.
So, we're looking pretty solid this month. In terms of best months of like bookings, I mean, I think we booked like 56 meetings last month. Um, which is, I mean, pretty solid. I think we only had like 5 clients for that amount. So solid. And then we just ended 2 new clients this week. So it's going pretty good, to be honest.
Nice, man. Yeah, this is great stuff. And like final question, uh, is there anything I didn't ask you that I think would be super valuable for people doing cold emailing, having leads in your agency that you want to pass on?
Yeah, I think and obviously I don't think you would have been able to ask this, but I just think guys like having you got to go figure it out on your own. You know, if you just think drop the sauce on everyone's Twitter post or when someone says like retweet, comment and like and all that shit and get this doc, like of course those do help, but at a certain point like you're just going to have too much information anyways that it's not really going to make all that much of a difference if you're not putting it to use. And you're not really going to learn what works yourself if you're just taking what everyone else is doing properly and using it and not understanding why it's working, right? I think one of the best things you can do is just have like no fear of failure because you're sending fucking emails. Like, who cares, right? So just go and test angles, go and test things. One of the best things I did for myself was if I had 1,000 leads, I'm sending a campaign to 75. Like I'm sending 150 leads, A/B testing it to 75 each, and seeing what works, right? And if that doesn't do well, I'll do it again. And then once I figure out one that actually works, then I'll send the rest of that campaign, right?
Mhm.
But so often I see us or guys on here like blowing through their leads without having a proven script or just not actually going and testing different things for different offers to see what actually works, right? If you guys want to be successful with this and make like over, 10, 20,000 a month, you're going to have scripts that work every single day, every single week, every single month. And you got to have systems in place that can you can build scripts anytime you need to. If one breaks down, you can build a new one when you need to because that's just what this game is, obviously. So I highly recommend you guys should start testing shit on your own. Stop listening to what everyone else is doing. Like, keep the foundation the same. Don't start sending paragraphs. Don't start going crazy. But just start trying to like make your own way for this, right? Because that's one of the best things I did. All of the scripts that I'm sending right now, no one showed me. I mean, I took the foundation of some stuff that Raul did or Berman did, for instance, but then I just put my own twist on it, and now it works for me. So, highly recommend you guys go and do your own thing.
Yeah, love that. I feel that it's like even more powerful in a sense that if you take somebody else's foundation, which has been built, let's say like our like white label, like our structure, it's built for my personality, like what I like doing, right? Your personality might be completely different. You might like completely different things. And if you try to push or force yourself to do it my way, it's not going to work long term. So the only way to do it long term and actually be successful is to go your own way. Just do it and actually like have fun. Like come up with these fun angles, these weird things, like don't do what everybody else is doing, and you're gonna have like so much more success. And I think that's a great note to end it on. Thanks so much for having you on, man. I'm gonna leave the links to Twitter down below. And yeah, keep crushing. Hopefully next time we do the podcast, you're gonna be 50K, 100K MR. Good luck, my brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you having me on, bro.
Yeah. Cheers.
Peace, bro.